And sorry, last na po. Hingan ko na lang din po yung reaction nyo dun sa may statement kasi si Kong J. Kong Hoon, one of the young guns din, na dapat daw hindi tahimik ang mga senatorial candidates tungkol sa issue ng Chinese espionage, lalo na't may mga nahuling Chinese spies na nitong nakaraan. Ano pong masasabi nyo rito? Do you agree with him po?
Kakatakot, ano? Just the thought of it. Meron pa sila mga equipment na ginagamit. What's new? Alam naman natin, matagal nangyayari. Ito pati nga sa social media eh. Alam mo, mayroon mga groups ng trolls na controlled by that country to target certain politicians. Ano, sila na magpapatakbo ng ating politika sa Pilipinas? I agree with him. I agree with Kong J na dapat we should address this problem. It's a matter of national security, really. And ano, habang buhay na lang tayong tatahimik, magpipikit-pikitan sa ginagawang paglapastangan ng ating territorial integrity, pati yung ating sovereignty. It's about time. Expose natin sila para mag-iingat na rin ang ating mga kababayan. Nananawagan ako sa ating mga kababayan. If you perceive something, please report sa kapulisan. You know, yung mga equipment na nakakabit na as for espionage, you can feel it eh. Baka nga yung ating mga cellphone dyan, nakaano na. You never know, right? So, hindi dahil sa pagiging praning or paranoid. When it comes to national security, you know, it's better to be overly cautious rather than magkulang tayo sa pag-iingat.
Siyempre, we support the Honorable Congressman Jay, no? Kasi tayo po, nagpunta tayo dun sa heart ng concern nila kasi pumunta tayo sa Zambales, 'di ba? Nagpunta tayo dun sa anong town na 'yon yung pinuntahan na? Sa Masinloc. Oo, dun sa mismong town. Nandun yung concern talaga pero hindi natin maiiwasan. Parang ako, a few months ago may dumaan din sa distrito ko. Huminto pa nga siya sa isang town pero hindi naman ganun kalapit sa shore. Pero yun nga ang point ko, the local governments also must gumawa po ng polisiya or palakasin nila. Kapitbahay nyo halos sila Jay. So yung local government kailangan pong tulong diyan kahit po mula barangay level lang na yung scout, yung pag-ikot po ng Coast Guard para ano po sila sa ating mga Navy. Kailangan po may coordination na talaga yung local government with the local officials, pati po yung mga national officials para po kahit na alam po natin na wala naman pong may gusto ng kahit na anong confrontation, pero ang gusto natin, nagbabantay tayo, saka aware po yung mga tao sa ginagawa nila na pambubuli, ika nga.
Thank you, Mela. Next up, Lines Capanti from GMA Online.
Sir, good afternoon, and ma'am. Follow up lang po ako yung sa bridge sa Isabela. I'm sure you're aware how procurement process works for infrastructure projects. There are quarters blaming the current administration kasi bago pa lang. Others were saying na previous administration. Others are also saying parang unfair naman to put the blame on the flagman, yung nagpadaan ng malaking yung mabigat yung ng truck. So being aware of how infrastructure projects are procured, anong sa tingin niyo, sir, naging problema? How can we improve it moving forward?
Well, unang-una dapat mag-conduct na talaga ng investigation. Kailangan swift yung investigation dyan para makita talaga kung ano yung problema. Mahirap naman po mag-pass ng judge. Hindi ako engineer eh. Pero syempre makikita mo bakit halos kabago-bago lang nitong bridge na to nag-collapse. So I think the president has ordered the swift investigation po at makita po yung kung ano nangyari kung anong problema nagkaroon. Pero syempre hindi po katanggap-tanggap na magkaroon tayo ng mga ganitong problema kasi tulay yan. Hindi po, kung daan lang o speed bump, medyo okay lang eh, parang dadaanan mo lang. Pero ito, medyo maraming buhay po ang tatamaan kung sakaling full po yung yung tulay na yan. So, antayin po siguro natin yung investigasyon, then makikita po natin kung sino ang dapat managot sa nakitang problema na yan.
I think the DPWH has a protocol to follow. So, due process tayo. Dapat merong investigation. Ngayon, kung may pagdududo kahit independent body ng investigation, something parallel, just a suggestion. But whatever it is, you know, from our place here in Congress, and maybe kayo sa 20th Congress, you can come up with a law that will require certain standards. Ang pangarap ko sana sa ating bansa is infrastructure that will last. Hindi yung paulit-ulit na lang ginagawa yung daan o yung highway or yung avenue, no? Ang pangarap ko is like in other countries, especially in developed countries, pag nag-build sila ng highway, ang gaganda, matitibay. Alam mo, nagugulat nga ako, Kong Pao. You're young, no? But do you know that the NLEX was built during the Marcos administration? Ang tagal-tagal na yan. Yan ang kalidad. Just like, for example, the different buildings we have, like the Philippine Heart Center, NKTI, Lung Center. Yan ang
Congresses, pero itong SOGI po parang wala, hindi pa niya nare-reach yung ganong level.
excuse me. Yung sa divorce kasi, I guess, pila ng marami, ito ay para lang sa isang marginalized group, minority, which is the LGBTQ plus community. Maaring ito ang dahilan kung bakit hindi siya nabibigyan ng kahalagahan, no? Karampatang kahalagahan. But the truth of the matter is that the SOGI Equality Bill will benefit all. Kung ikaw ay isang straight guy and you're applying for a job, and then you are discriminated against kahit na qualified ka dahil pinagkamalang kang gay or bakla, you can use a SOGI Equality Bill. But then again, how many cases like that happen in our country when it's the other way around? Normally, ang men, LGBT, youth, I don't know, senior citizens, PWDs, and we try to legislate things that will benefit them or take them out from their marginalized situation. The problem, what's new, is that our friends, some friends in the Senate, simply do not want to hear of the SOGI Equality Bill. If you remember, if you recall, it was passed in the Committee on Women and Family Relations, led by Senator Risa Ontiveros. But it was hijacked, you know? Instead of being discussed at the plenary, it was, what is the term again? It was sent back to the, remanded to the Committee on Rules. When, for the longest time, the SOGI Equality Bill has always been heard in the Committee on Women and Family Relations. For what reason? I don't know, strategic maneuverings perhaps. And they promised, no, we will discuss it soonest. Ang tagal na ng soonest na yan. Siguro dapat sinulat natin forthwith, no? Dapat, ay, sa bagay, ang forthwith definition is questionable dun sa kanila. Pero sa ako malinaw, ako nag-google ako pa ulit-ulit. Merriam-Webster, ano pa, Google, lahat na ng dictionary ko, nasulat ako immediately. Tapos isip ko, I'm a journalist. I'm not a constitutionalist. But I do understand this much, that when you write a constitution, you do not use, you know, vulgar. Vulgar, by vulgar I mean common terms, day-to-day language like immediately or ASAP. We use literary terms like forthwith, but it's the same banana. Forthwith equals immediately.
Thank you, Lenesca. Now we turn to Marian Enriquez from TV5.
Speaking of impeachment po, baka Sir Kong Paul Ortega, I understand that you also attend some meetings po ng, with the prosecutors and maybe the communications team last week. Meron din po ba kayong meeting this week? Any update po?
Wala pa. Bali yung sa last week lang. Then yung press con lang today. Yun pa lang. Letter from the Senate?
Yung timeline po na ni-release ni S.
Hindi, teka lang. Ano yung tanong? Balik natin. Ako? May na-receive? Yung nakikita ko lang online. Pero hindi ko alam as per the House kung nagpa-receive na sila ng letter dito. Pero ano naman official naman na communication yun. So, it's public record. So, yung chronological na calendar niya, yung January, yung ganon, nakita ko na rin siya. June.
Sir, sinabi po nung kapatid ni VP Sara Duterte na si Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte sa kanyang podcast na yung impeachment trial ay distraction lang, isang panlilihis umano po para ilayo yung attention daw ng publiko sa controversy po nung budget ng 2025 GAA. Tinawag din po niya itong panic response ng Administrasyong Marcos sa lumalakas na criticism daw po tungkol sa pondo.
Likewise, distraction din yung ginagawa nila. Kasi nga, hindi pa rin nila nasasagot si Mary Grace Piatos. So, hanap-hanap distraction, hanap-hanap diversion para hindi pag-usapan. Di, dumidiskarte pa rin sila.
Kung Geraldine, comment on that?
To my knowledge, yung issue ng impeachment came first before the issue of the GAA. And I think malino naman, nagsalita na ang ating mga, Committee on Appropriations and everything. There's a perfect explanation, no, to how the GAA was crafted, how it was signed into law. So I think there is a pending complaint case at the SC, no, Supreme Court. So let's wait for that.
Sa katuad lang, no, nakikita naman po natin na meron po tayong may Quadcom, may GoodGov. So, this is all an inquiry. Meron pong mga naipresenta. Meron pong halos konkreto na mga ebidensya na nandyan as compared to theatrics and distractions na ginagawa nila. Ang layo po ng diferensya nun. Kitang-kita po ng taong bayan kasi on record lahat. We were live. We were open to the public as compared yung hindi naman nagsasalita, bigla na lang magsasalita ng ganyan. So, theatrics lang talaga yan. Diversion.
Kong Geraldine, you mentioned, kanina po about yung forthwith equals immediately and very clear po yun sa Constitution, and some lawyers na nag-file na rin po nung nauna-unang impeachment complaints were saying na maybe there is a culpable violation of the Constitution, yung ginagawa pong pag-delay ng mga senador dito po sa pag-convene and pag-proceed po sa impeachment trial. What's your comment on that?
Katulad nga na sinabi ko, kahit anong dictionary ang konsultahin ko, forthwith means immediately, no? And I think the choice of the word forthwith is basically what they normally do when they write the Constitution, the fundamental law of the land. Use normally literary and highfalutin words, no? So, maybe it was a selective interpretation. Ito lang naman ako, no? Maybe it was his political strategy. Kasi nga, if we go on with impeachment case at this point, baka yung mga tumatakbong senador ay maapektuhan. Because the fact of the matter is that the impeachment case has become an election issue. And I don't know. Politician din naman ako, I would understand, you know? But then again, who would admit that? Pero I have this gut feeling. But nevertheless, I still hold on to my hope that our friends in the Senate, led by SP Jesus Codero, would reconsider and be more, I don't know, how should I say it, mas gampanan nila ang kanilang trabaho na igalang i-uphold ang what is stated clearly in the Constitution.
Kuya Ray, isunod ko lang.
Okay ka na? Okay na si Marian? Okay, sige. Rosalie Cas from UNTV. Go ahead with your questions.
Apo, bago po yung issue ko po, idugtong ko lang po sa impeachment. Kasi ang isang constitutional framer po, si Attorney Christian Monsod, challenge na po yung ihayag sa publiko kung sino ba tong mga senador na to na hindi interesado sa caucus para mapag-usapan ano ba ang magiging aksyon ng Senado dito sa usapin ng forthwith. Kasi pag pinangalanan sa publiko itong mga senador na to na hindi interesado sa caucus, po pwede silang masampahan ng kaso na paglabag sa saligang batas at ma-disqualify sa eleksyon. What is your comment on that? Do you agree? At kailangan ba talagang pangalanan tong mga senador na to na re-electionist, tumatakbo sa eleksyon para po makasuhan?
Ako, this has been my consistent statement from the start. Sabi ko nga. Number one, it's a leadership call. Number one. Pero yung sa tipong pangalanan, isa-isahin, matatanda na po sila, alam na nila yun. Ang pangalawa po, leadership call is also a call to action. So, kung may call to action ka, you have a responsibility. At may responsibility po tayo sa taong bayan. Yun lang po yung comment ko dun.
Kayo.
Okay, so hindi lang pala ako ang may nararamdaman na something in that line, no, that's related to politics and being strategic about it and not wanting this issue to become an electoral issue that could actually tip the balance against my political interests. But I also agree with Kong Paula that it is a leadership call. More than just the individual senators, I think it should be the Senate leadership who should set the line of direction, diba, where they're headed. And as I said, I think the only acceptable direction is the direction of the Constitution, which is very clear about when and how this impeachment complaint should be processed.
So kayo po, Congresswoman Roman, naniniwala na may paglabag si Senate President Cheese Escudero sa konstitusyon dahil, yun nga po, sa usapin ng forthwith shall proceed after po ma-endorse yung articles of impeachment sa Senado?
At this point, it would be difficult to say kung meron talagang intentional or, I don't know, violation. Parang harsh naman kaagad to come at that judgment, you know. Our dear friend, Senator Cheese Escudero, is a brilliant lawyer, and he does his own studying. We may differ in our opinions, but still, yun na nga, umaasa pa rin kami from the House of Representatives for maybe a different interpretation. Anyway, they came up with a special order, nakasaad na nga yung calendar nila sa aming panlasa, sana nga, mas maaga, no? Pero katulad nga ng sinabi ko, baka may mga practical considerations that come into place. Ako lang naman to, baka personal opinion, yung aking intuition. But I'm not saying it's true. I can't read people's minds, basically. So, mawala ng lahat, wag lang ang pakiramdam. Pero nandiyan pa rin ang pag-asa. Mawala na rin lahat, wag lang ang pag-asa na pakikinggan nila ang aming suggestion.
Sige, thank you po. Mag-shift lang po ako sa another topic kasi po si TML Ortega, meron po kayong nirelease na statement this saying Palawan is at risk if China-funded candidates will win the elections. Can you elaborate and what made you say so po?
Nakita po natin na ang dami na namang kumakalat na nagsasalita na sinasabi na naman nila, they're claiming na pagmamayari na naman nila yung Palawan. Naku, isa na yan sa pinakamalaking fake news sa araw na to. So, nakakalungkot. That's why sabi ko nga po dun sa stand natin na hindi pwede naman na hindi pro-Pilipinas yung mga iboboto natin na senador. Kailangan yung malasakit saka yung dedikasyon nila para sa bansa. Napakaklaro naman po yan. Kaya yung mga medyo tikom dyan, alam na this. Hindi sila pro-Pilipinas. Kailangan ko pa ba sabihin kung kanino sila pro? Diba? Yung mga pro-troll na yan, sigurado. Magkakasama lahat yan. Oh. So, ganun lang po kasimple yung stand ko doon. I mean, I have been consistent with all my statements na wag po natin bibigyan ng pagkakataon yung mga hindi pro-Pilipinas na kandidato. Kasi, yun ang dapat number one na criteria ng tumatakbo na senador. Kahit naman hindi sobrang galing, kahit na hindi sobrang sipag, kahit na hindi wala pang plataforma, siguro medyo makakalusot pa yung mga yun. Pero yung number one na criteria na hindi ka maka-Pilipinas, dapat pro-Pilipinas ka. Yun ang number one na criteria para sa mga senador.
Can you name names, sir? Sino itong mga senatorial bills at saka party list na China-funded?
Hindi sila sikat eh, hindi ko sila kilala.
Alam na this.
Oo. Yung mga medyo pro-China na maingay, hindi naman ganun. Yung mga number 40, number 50, hindi ko na pinapansin. Ha? Sa kabila. Sus naman, kayo talaga. Hindi, pero ano kasi, hindi naman, parang dinidisguise kasi nila, puro sila bato ng Diyos. Sabi ko nga, di ba, plataforma bago paninira. Yung mga malalakas maninira sa administrasyon, nako, yun na yung mga, yung mga nasa baba, yung mga hindi masyado sikat, yun na yung mga pinupondohan nila. Pero ang problema, baka yung binibigay na suporta o tulong, hindi na rin nila ginagamit sa kampanya. O, di ba? Kaya matalino naman ang taong bayan, nakikita ng tao yan. Nakikita nila yung mga pro-Pilipinas na kandidato. Saka mukhang hindi naman sila mananalo, kaya okay lang. Kaya mo na. Yun nga lang, nakakasira lang ng good vibes.
Ang gusto kong sabihin, isang basic requirement na establish sa ating election laws and of course the Constitution. Ang first requirement ay dapat Filipino citizen. Hindi pwedeng dual citizen, kailangan Filipino citizen. Pero ang pagiging Pilipino ay dinadala sa puso. And really, how can you even imagine a senator na ang loyalty niya wala sa ating bansa? So, ekis na sila. Cancelled na. But may I add, kung ako lang naman to, papapiliin ng senador. Ang gusto ko, yung senador na ang welfare ng taong bayan ang tunay na nasa kanyang puso. Ayoko ng vested interest. Gusto ko yung tutulong sa mga marginalized groups. Kasi you know what, Kong Paolo, we only have 24 senators. So much power in the hands of too few people. At kung mag-uupo ka rin lang naman ng tao who will not serve the interests of the Filipino people, sumuko na lang tayong lahat. Parang give up na ako. Pero gusto ko yung senador na tutulong sa mga farmers. Dahil sawang-sawa na ako pakinggan na, the farmers put food on the table of every Filipino family, but they don't walk the talk. Gusto ko ng senador na alam ang trabaho ng isang legislator. Yung gumagawa ng batas, na makakatulong sa taong bayan. Gusto ko ng senador na marunong makipagdebate and express his ideas. Just saying, ako lang to ha. Ito lang naman ang aking personal criteria. And sana nga, pananawagan ko sa taong bayan, maging mapanuri kasi so much power nga in hands of only 24 people. At saka umari, gusto ko representation din eh. Siyempre, Women's Month, gusto ko may mga kababaihan din sa Senado. So, yun lang. I won't name names, pero yun ang aking wish list.
Apo. Ito po, ihahabol ko lang po. Kasi over the weekend po ay meron pong binanggit si retired Supreme Court Justice Antonio Carpio urging the Philippine lawmakers to give up their discretionary funds for 25 years to divert the fund for the AFP modernization program and to defend the West Philippine Sea. What is your reaction po?
Pwede akong sumagot as ako lang na congressman. Ako okay lang sa akin. Pero syempre hindi naman consensus naman kasi po to ng entire actually not only us but lawmakers lahat ng lawmakers. Ako okay lang po. Sino na yung statement? Oo. Okay lang po yung sa akin, Justice Carpio, kung sakali. Pero wag na, mga konti lang naman yung sweldo ko.
Alam mo yung tinatawag discretionary funds, pork barrel does not exist. That's the truth. Sa amin, we do not even, in the concept of pork barrel nung panahon nila, mga nakarang administrasyon, walang ganun sa amin. We do not handle cash or what, everything comes in the form of services to our constituents through the different government agencies. So, baka mali yung presumption niya na ang laki-laki-laki ng discretionary funds na yung mga congressmen. It's needs-based. Even sa mga, the DPWH even follows criteria, no? Size of your district, absorptive capacity, etc., etc. So it's rather objective, no? Even sa GAA. Now, when it comes to social services, it's coursed through the different agencies. It doesn't land as if we had our budgets, tayong mga congressman. We have our salary, and maybe a Christmas bonus. I don't know. But discretionary funds, magagaling ang ating members din ng Appropriations Committee. If we want to beef up our defense, kaya natin gawin yan, hanapan ng paraan. Maybe the agencies that don't need confidential funds, pwede natin silang tanggalan ng confidential funds. Diba? Dapat security-related talaga. Ang ating confidential funds. So maybe that's another option. So I don't know how to respond to former Justice Antonio Carpio. Maybe the presumption is not really very accurate.
Yeah. Pero kung sweldo nga lang, baka kumasya. Kung ibibigay namin sweldo namin sa lahat for the defense, pero wala na kaming kikitain, wala na kaming sweldo. Pero parang hindi pa rin kasya. Kung 300 times, hindi, may bawas 200. Hindi pa rin kakasya. So, pero wala naman pong question sa West Philippine Sea. Nakita nyo naman, #1 priority ng House of Representatives yun. Pero yung sweldo ko, siguro magtitira na lang ako ng pang-grocery pag binigay ko. Para hindi naman kami kawawa sa bahay.
Kung Ortega po kanina, binanggit niyo po na okay lang sa akin yun. Yung, kung kayo ang tatanungin personally, yung sweldo. Pero yung discretionary funds, okay lang din. Ano yung discretionary funds
Hindi,
na?
wala naman kami discretionary funds
Okay.
Kaya ka sabi ko, okay lang yun. Pero yung sweldo, sabi ko. Umalis ka kasi, tumawag ka sa labas. Hindi mo narinig yung sagot. Hindi mo.
Sir,
Alam kong adjourned yung session natin kasi dati pagka Women's Month merong mga activities ang house di ba? Pero ngayon na adjourned, meron pa rin bang mga activities na naka-line up yung Congress?
Well, today we just had our flag raising, and I made it a point na talagang i-celebrate namin ang aming flag raising with all of the women employees and some female legislators who are members of the committee, to report on the progress in the past 3 years dito sa 19th Congress. It is actually my last year and my last term as a lawmaker. So parang naging valedictory ko na rin to. And I reported dun sa mga achievements ng ating Committee on Women and Gender Equality. Pero for the rest of the month, wala Pero sa iba't ibang ahensya ng pamahalaan, meron po tayo necessarily ang ating mga celebrations as part of Women's Month.
Follow-up lang po. How would you rate the 19th Congress's performance regarding this topic sa gender equality? Kasi meron tayong mga napasang batas, like for example yung divorce. Pero meron ding mga hindi pa na-approve na hindi natin sure kung may oras pa para matackle yun.
Well, divorce is a pro-women piece of legislation. Hindi yan lingid sa ating kaalaman, na maraming kababaihan na despite all best efforts, talagang nag-fail ang marriage nila, tapos very toxic na. Sometimes their physical integrity na nanganganib na rin. So we're proud to say, di ba, Kong Pao, that we passed the divorce bill here in the House of Representatives. Pero tulad ng dati, syempre naantala dun sa Senate. So what's new, right? So, so sa ibang pieces of legislation naman, yes, umaasa pa rin kami. Do you know that under the Family Code, there are 11 articles that actually give priority to the husband? Lagi yung asawang lalaki ang merong final say. Property issues, you want to sell a house, payag na yung buong pamilya, dahil kailangan to ng pamilya, yung pera. Pero pag sinabi ng husband, ayoko, siya pa rin naman susunod. Or I don't know, family decision, magpapakasal ng anak mo 21 anyos, Tapos payag na yung pamilya, siguro nagdadalang tao na. Pero, pag sinabi ng padre, ng father, ayaw. So there's something intrinsically unfair about these 11 articles in the Family Code. And for the longest time, kami po sa Committee on Women and Gender Equality, unanimously, lahat ng kababaihan sa House of Representatives, we want this changed. Kasi this is a remnant, a vestige of the old regime na always gives men priority over women. Akala mo naman lahat na lalaki matino. What we're asking for is just equal standing sa loob ng pamilya. So pinupush namin ito, sana mapakinggan tayo ng Rules Committee, nag-sponsorship speech, we have 6 working days left, kaya pang ipasa ito sa period of interpellation and third reading para pagdating ng 20th Congress. Hindi na niya kailangan magdaan pa sa komite. Sayang naman to eh. Yung SOGIEC Equality Bill, medyo nahihirapan tayo dyan. But something as fundamental as yung family code, even if we ask and survey the women here, palagay nyo, di ba, tama lang naman na baguhin natin yung family code. Also, yung amendments to the Safe Spaces Act. If you remember, we wanted to hold public officials, whether appointed or elected, accountable. Kasi ang unang dapat nagsiset ng magandang halimbawa ay tayong mga public officials. Hindi naman po pwede, we require the citizenry to behave in a certain manner, pero tayong public officials exempted. I mean, that's too much. Siyempre, ayaw natin ng mga leader ng mga bastos. Ayaw natin ng mga leader na nagmumura. Ayaw natin ng mga misogynistic remarks coming from our public servants. So yun ang iniintay ko. And kami mga kababaihan dito sa House of Representatives, we're asking, what is holding us back? It's just period of interpellation. Let's talk about it. Kung may kumukontra, I'm sure we can discuss in an intelligent manner. So, yun ang inaasahan namin with the 6 days. I know, maaring suntok sa buwan, pero hindi. May glimmer of hope pa rin. If there's a will, there's a way.
Ma'am, sorry, just last. Ano pong specific House Bill yung para sa amendments ng Family Code?
Amendments in Family Code, it's called the Fundamental Equality for men and women under the Family Code. I don't know yung exact number, and then we'll provide you later. And then yung sa Amendment to the Safe Spaces Act, nandiyan din. Also the amendments to the EVAUC. Usong-uso ngayon, pinag-uusapan natin yung fake news. So do you know that most of the victims of online scams, fake news, slut-shaming are women and minors? So that has to be reflected in our anti-VAUC laws. So tanong, why can't we approve it here in the lower house? I have always known the House of Representatives under the leadership of Speaker Martin Romualdez to be a progressive one. Nakaya nga natin yung divorce eh. Diba dapat nga patunayan natin, we're not just a bunch of dinosaurs clinging on to the old ancient regime of patriarchy. Mga advanced thinkers tayo, di ba, Kong Pao? Talaga ba, ha? You believe? So, naniniwala ko kay Kong Pao. Ha? And yun ang aking prayer, yun ang aking hope.
Thank you, Gab. Next, Mela Lismoras from PTV4.
Hi, good morning, Kongs. Follow up lang po dun sa kay Gab kasi nalatag nga ni Kong Geraldine yung mga gusto pa nating isulong. Balikan lang po natin yung achievements bukod sa divorce. Ano po yung mga naging achievements ng 19th Congress when it comes to women empowerment po?
Well, we also tried to approve a bill that will encourage women to be in positions of power. Pansinin nyo, pag meron kang women leader, there is normally peace in that area, in that zone, in that territory. You know what? I don't know if you agree with me, Kong Paolo. Ang mga babae, lalo na mga nanay, may hugot eh. Ayaw nila ng conflict. Gusto nila peace, katahimikan, for progress, for their children. So, we want to encourage more women participating in politics through an incentive program, no? We would require political parties to have at least 40% of their list to include women. And I know it may sound na parang ano siya, it goes against the spirit of meritocracy. Dapat pagalingan lang yan. But we have to face the fact na hindi level, hindi patas ang playing ground. So somehow, you have to give parang, ano ba tawag dito, positive affirmation. That system, when you give a quota, affirmative action, no? Para medyo level and playing field. Tapos when you reach your goal already, maybe we can do away with that law. We can repeal that law already. So that's one. Another is also, we came out with a manual and we distributed it among members of the House, how to be a gender-responsive legislator. Alam nyo, meron din kaming panukalang batas. In times of natural calamities, crises, like yung nakaraang COVID pandemic, the protocols were male-centered Binababa ang mga ayuda sa mga padre de familia. And in my experience, pasintabi lang po sa mga kalalakihan. Hindi po yung pera na yun napunta necessarily doon sa dapat puntahan niya, like pagkain. Pero kung dinaan natin yan sa mga kababaihan, because the fact of the matter is that calamities, whether natural or man-made, disasters, affect men and women differently. So we have to have gender-responsive legislation. And that is what we approved also in the committee. But then again, we're waiting, for it to be discussed on the floor. Ano pa ba ang mga napasa natin? The Secretariat of the House came up with this manual, Gender Fair Language. Di ba ayaw nga natin yung using the term bakla and equate it with being a coward or duwag. Recently, Kong Pao, alam niyo din sa committee ng yung TRICOM natin, no? Where we're investigating yung use ng fake news. Nabash ako kasi with all due respect to my colleague, Kong Ace Barbers, talaga naman sobrang personal yung banat sa kanyang isang vlogger. Napaka below the belt, pati familia, no? So sa galit niya na he blurted out, yun na nga, the word bakla. And I call this attention, no? And protocol would have it within the House. Now that after the committee hearing, I had this one-on-one discussion with Kong Ace Barbers. He apologized and he fully realized what he did and that he did not mean it. Some were, some bashers might say, bakit naman kinall out mo si VP Sara? Well, there's a big difference. VP Sara is a known LGBT rights advocate, and I have to give it to her, which means that she has more responsibility and more knowledge. And that, cannot be used as an excuse for using the term bakla to demean people or to refer to mean duwag or cowardly, no? So, si Kong Ace Barbers naman, hindi naman siya declared na LGBT rights advocate, although I know in his district, mahal na mahal siya ng LGBT community. So, yun po ang naging diferensya. I was bashed for that, but I have a perfectly logical explanation. Ganun talaga kami sa house. Pag meron kami may issues, we discuss it among ourselves first. And then, apologies are said, and ayos na lahat.
Opo. Speaking of fake news lang din, isa rin to sa mga tinututukan ng TRICOM nga and even ni Kong Pao. Meron lang isang vlog po si President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. nitong weekend at nagbabala siya sa mga tao against fake news. May sinabi siya, kakambal na rin ng kampanya ang mga intriga at batuhang putik na tinatawag na fake news. Kaliwat kanan na rin yan. Sabi nga natin, ang bagong Pilipino ay marunong kumilatis sa tama at maling impormasyon. Kaya ngayon, laganap na naman ang fake news at disinformation. Dapat extra ingat po tayo sa mga nababasa natin online. Ano pong masasabi niyo po rito? Given na yun nga tuloy-tuloy din yung given na tuloy-tuloy rin yung mga pagdinig di camera about fake news.
Before ako mag-react doon, gusto ko lang dagdagan yung statement ni Kong Geraldine. Kasi nakita natin sa 19 Congress na actually hindi nga spotlight lang Naging highlight po ang kababaihan sa 19 Congress with the likes of Kong Geraldine, sila Kong Jinky, sila Kong Migs Nograles, sila Kong Pami, sila Kong Mika, yung mga bagong young guns na nandyan. kung titignan mo yung not only with their the way they interpolate, the way they handle the media, yung mga sound bites nila, and the number of minutes that they have been in the spotlight, talagang binigyan nila ng kaukulang boses yung kababaihan. Kumbaga, sila nga yung sikat na sikat during the 19th Congress eh. Mas malayong masasabi ko na talagang sila yung bida sa 19th Congress. Not only with the majority but also with the minority. Alam naman po natin. And to answer your question, matagal na pong ginagawa ng Pangulong Bongbong Marcos yan, even when he was campaigning for Vice President, pati nung tumatakbo siyang presidente hanggang ngayon, talagang sa mga vlogs niya may mga fact-checking siya na ginagawa. Halos every 2 days siya nagvo-vlog dati. May fact-checking na pong ganyan. And yun nga, very clear po yung stand natin kasi we are all potential victims of fake news, not only as politicians, public servants. Si Kong Geraldine, I'm sure meron din yan. Ako, ang dami. Pero ang maganda po is aware naman po yung tao talaga eh. Minsan gusto lang ng tao na may nakikita, gusto lang may tao na napapanood. Pero alam po nila mag-discern kung ano po yung fake news saka yung katotohanan. So, again, on the side of sa katotohanan, kailangan po mas maging mapanuri po tayo sa mga nakikita natin online. Nandun naman po karamihan ng fake news eh. Kasi sa ground, hindi fake news ang tawag doon, chismis. So maraming forms po ang fake news. Kailangan lang po talaga tignan nating maigi and i-continue yung kampanya na to. I think the campaign should also start in the grassroots level, kahit na mga bata pa, kasi kahit grade school level, kahit sa school level, sa government, sa offices, it should start there already as early as siguro grassroots, grade school level, kasi nagiging nagiging issue, nagkakaroon ng issues of mental health, bullying, yung mga ganyan. And no one is safe from fake news. Lahat tayo ay magiging potential victim niyan. Yun lang po.
May I add, fake news doesn't only affect us politicians. Baka kalain nyo kami lang ang umaangal o nabibiktima ng fake news. It affects all Filipinos. Women, especially mga minors, the youth, the future generation. Isipin nyo yung proseso na pinagdadaanan ng fake news. It is created, we call it malinformation, with a malicious intent to distort reality, to distort the truth. If you raise a generation that believes a lie, a falsehood, how can you create a stable future for our country? So, importante dito ang critical thinking. Si President Bongbong Marcos is a padre de familia. I'm sure, of course, his children are grown up. I guess he must have taught them already, sina Kong Sandra, to practice critical thinking, maging mapanuri. So dito po sa TRICOM, we're investigating, and I've listened, and actually I'm participating in the committee hearings. We listen to the different stakeholders, from advertisers to journalists to vloggers to people who handle PR and political strategy, and we gain a lot from their experience. Kaya nga lang kulang kasi yung ibang vloggers na imbitahan namin sa TRICOM ay hindi po nagsisidalo. Parang medyo napraning, Kong Paolo, na pinangunahan nila ang pakay ng komite. Ang pakay ng komite is to listen kung ano ba talaga ang problema and to find solutions. In fact, in the last TRICOM committee, I came up with a legislative measure, which is the creation of a digital council of the Philippines. Kong Pao, I'm a journalist myself. Ayoko ng binobosalan ako. Ayoko ng censorship. Ayoko ng government control. Kaya ang aking minungkahi sa nakarang komite is the creation of a council among peers. Imagine this council. Meron tayong association and groups of content creators. Siyempre, may registry dyan, yung matitino. Meron tayong mga digital advertisers. Meron tayong mga PR firms. lahat ng stakeholders. Of course, dapat may representation ng DICT. Meron din NBI kasi kailangan may konting ngipin, ano? Meron tayong representatives from the different social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, X, what have you. And then this group will come up with their own code of ethics and standards. That has to be followed. Ito rin ang magiging tampulan ng mga magrereklamo na nabibiktima ng fake news. Tapos, they will fact check. Do they have the technical means? Yes, I've interviewed journalists and content creators and AI groups nga pa rin. Kasama dyan sa council na yan. They have the technical means to find out within 48 hours if a piece of content is true or false. Now, ano gagawin natin once found to be false or if a flag ngayon ito? And by law, we will require the social media platforms to flag these pieces of news or content as fake. Para at least alam ng taong bayan. Nakikita nyo minsan doon sa FB, merong parang annotation, ito ay hindi makatotohanan o kulang, hindi balansadong piece of information. So, the key is self-regulation. Because alam nyo yan, bilang media practitioners, the right to freedom of expression is sacred. It is something constitutional. So when we legislate, we always try to find the least restrictive means para wala tayong conflict. Dahil syempre, naniniwala tayo na pag merong kodigo, code of standards, code of ethics, nasusundan, binibigyan ng konting ngipin ng isang grupo na hindi naman government-controlled, ay maging effective yung pamamaraan nito para labanan ang fake news. So, yan po ay inihain ko sa nakaraang committee hearing. Pero patuloy pa rin kami. We want a more complete picture. Sana yung ibang kumbidado na mag-attend sa aming committee will set aside their, I don't know what to call it, paranoia, and join our committee para mapakinggan sila.
Maganda kasi yung tinatakbo nung TRICOM kasi nga sabi ko anong statement ko before na nung nabigay sa kapangyarihan itong sa mga tao tong social media, para kang meron kang something na so powerful na pero nung nagawa ito, parang wala siyang code of ethics nga talaga. Unlike na pag hindi mo naman sasabihin ng harap-harapan yung mga masasama saka irresponsableng sinasabi nyo o kaya fake news. Pero karamihan naman po nga, trolls sila o kaya mga hired mercenaries. Kaya nga nakakalungkot nga po kasi itong mga taong to, employment din ang hinahabol nila . Kailangan nila ng pera, kailangan nila ng trabaho. Pero they're doing it in such a way na napaka-irresponsible na it's getting out of hand. Not only towards politicians, public servants. Ginagamit din po ito. Halimbawa, may kaaway yung isang estudyante. I-fake news siya, ibubully siya, cyberbullying, ito-troll siya ng mga kaaway niya to the point na ayaw nang pumasok ng bata. So talagang socio-cultural po yung problema natin na to. Hindi lang po sa politika. Kaya nga, nakakalungkot na ganito na po yung napuntahan. Tapos parang ang saya-saya pa ng mga ganitong tao sa ginagawa nila. Kaya sobrang nakakalungkot na it's not the real, hindi yung totoong sarili nila yung pinapakita nila dito . Kumbaga nakamaskara kasi sila sa social media. So yung mga trolls, yung mga masasamang intention, mga fake news kayo. Fake you.
Yun na nga tama si Paolo. It is precisely ang kakulangan ng mga patakaran na sinasamantala nitong mga trolls. So, sinasamantala nila yung anonymity para sabihin kung ano yung gusto nilang sabihin. And usually, pinabayaran sila. They're paid to say things that are false and unfair. They target, hindi lang kami mga politiko, businessmen. Di ba hindi nakikita? Minsan si Doc Willie Ong, bigla na lang through AI, nagbebenta siya kung ano-anong mga products. Si Doc Alvin, halatang-halatang nagpa-follow ako ng mga reels, no? Pati rin si Dr. Vicky Bello, kahit hindi niya produkto binibenta. So, there are economic repercussions. Also, maapektado rin, sabi ko nga, yung mga kabataan, ano? So, yun ang gusto namin sa TRICOM, maghanap ng patakaran. And hopefully, it will come from the practitioners themselves, the stakeholders themselves. Doon tayo papasok with the registry of content creators. Pag may registry ka, kung meron kang several accounts, i-register mo yan. Pangatawanan mo, bigyan mo ng pangalan. O kahit meron kang nom de plume o yung pseudonym, dapat registered. Para hindi naman yung Diyos ko Lord, parang wild, wild west ang ating social media. You know, malungkot, Kong Paolo, ang ganda-ganda sana ng purpose ng social media. Marami natutulungan, it links people. Nagiging venue pa ito para maiparating sa aming mga public servants ang pangangailangan ng taong bayan. Mga reklamo which are valid. Pero dapat, kung magre-reklamo ka, yung fair naman. Backed by facts, may supporting evidence, at hindi naman irresponsable, no? So, ito po ang pakay namin, magkaroon tayo ng mga patakaran.
Dagdagan ko lang, quickly na lang. Parang sabi ko nga before nung may caucus ng mga members ng TRICOM na it's the same thing with the SIM Registration Act. Siguro kailangan meron na rin tayong social media registration para maiwasan natin yung mga ganito. Pero syempre pag-aaralan naman po 'yan. We are treading a very thin line. Kailangan po ng consultations lalo with stakeholders kung paano po natin i-handle to kasi it's getting bigger and bigger na parang nagiging ano na po siya nagiging tawag dito, nagiging sakit na po. Oh, nagiging sakit, nagiging salot na. So 'di ba, it's better to be real, it's better to be genuine, it's better to be you rather than the fake you. So
Ako lang to.
Ako lang to, yeah. Tama, 'di ba?
Question is related to to Rosalie.
Impeachment.
Impeachment. Siguro after Are you done with your questions, Rosalie? Yes. Okay. We'll just recognize first Vivian Gulia from ABS-CBN.
Do you think yung delay sa trial favors the Vice President?
Well, baka magkaroon sila ng pag may extension kasi habang tumatagal, baka lalong may chances na na-explain nga ni Congressman Joel Chua to na baka may chance na may mga ebidensya mapakailaman, may mga witnesses na posibleng maharas o ma-intimidate. Pero hindi naman ako pwedeng sumagot ng specifics kasi nga hindi naman ako prosecutor. Pero yan po kasi mga reality na nangyayari. In any na kaso naman po, kahit anong case. So
it does.
May epekto. Indirectly.
It's difficult to say it will work the Vice President. Actually, it could work both ways. Meron nga tayong kasabihan, justice delayed is justice denied. The impeachment case is actually the perfect venue for her to defend her side, to bring out also evidence, because it's a two-way setup, you know? It's a two-way setup. The prosecution will present its evidence, and the defense will also present its evidence. So the sooner we talk about it, mas makiklear ang air. It could work against her or in favor of her. Nasa Senado na yan, sa mga senator judges na maghuhusga. Ano po?
It was mentioned last week na parang may plan to discuss kung susulat ang House sa Senate regarding these concerns po. May progress na po ba doon?
Paulit.
It was mentioned last Friday, sir, 'di ba, na merong plan to discuss it, yung mga ganitong itong mga ganitong concerns ay i-raise before the Senate. May progress na po ba doon kung susulat po?
hindi siguro yung mga prosecutors ang pwede natin na tanungin para hindi ako updated sa yung mga ibang details eh. Medyo hindi po tayo kasama. So baka mas okay na may mga makasagot na mas
Okay, sir. Sir, yung na-mention nyo na lang kanina na parang social media registration, can you give details po sa idea ninyo? How do you plan na this will work po against you?
Wala pang details yon, pero parang nakita naman po natin sa SIM Registration Act na yung ganun na possibility. So, again, papasok na po siguro sa 20th Congress yun. Depende rin po sa recommendation saka output nung TRICOM hearings kasi malaking bagay po yung mga nakukuha natin na impormasyon saka syempre may mga lugar na rin po at local governments that are addressing such cases sa mga lugar nila. Wala, parang nailabas lang naman yun, parang isang idea lang. So
Ako meron.
Ayun, meron na si Kong Je. Siguro baka pwede kaming mag-consolidate ng mga bills namin when
Actually,
we
parang
reach that
pamana
point.
ko na rin to sa 20th Congress. Start the ball rolling at this point. And I don't know, we do not have material time to pass this. But at least yung suggestion ko na Digital Council of the Philippines would also include a registry of content creators. Importante to, katulad ng banggit namin kanina, put a name to your different social media accounts. Behind these different social media accounts, there should be a name a person who can be held responsible and accountable and who practices responsible content creation. Now, rest assured that I have done my homework and I have looked into the constitutionality of this measure, the creation of the Digital Council of the Philippines, and I really want it to be the least restrictive measure. Kasi meron tayong scrutiny test na fina-follow. When it comes to fundamental constitutional rights, we always have to look for the least restrictive measure. Because as journalists, we know that syempre, sagrado itong ating freedom of expression. So ako, itong aking sigurong ambag na rin, and it reflects the ideas of my colleagues sa TRICOM. Pero sabi ko nga sa inyo, ipo-perfect natin to. This much I can promise before the 19th Congress ends, at least merong na-file na isang Digital Council of the Philippines bill.
To add lang, no, kasi nagkakaroon na po rin ng concern for national security. So, siguro, kung may nakaredy na rin si Kong Je, tapos pwede naming mapag-usapan. When we have our final few weeks before the 20th Congress, siguro may urgency. Sabi nga nila, parang may urgency na rin po na kailangan tutukan yung mga yun. Kasi nga, meron pong, during the hearings, may mga nasabi po na baka hindi na po dito lang sa atin tong problema. Baka meron na po nanggagaling na binabato na nanggagaling sa labas.
To clarify lang po, ma'am and sir. So kapag hindi nag-register, hindi pwedeng mag-SOCMED? Ganun po ba yun? How does this work po?
Parang SIM registration nga yan eh. Ganun talaga eh. You have nothing to hide. You have no hidden agenda. You have no intent to maliciously deceive the people or to, serve the interests of certain parties unscrupulously. Wala ka dapat katakot. Pangatawanan mo. Proud dapat ikaw habang nire-register yung pangalan mo because you're behind certain social media accounts that only produce content that is verifiable, that are based on the truth, on evidence, on facts. So kung wala kang katatakot, bakit ka matatakot na magpa-register doon? Yes, that would be the idea. Just the same way that we journalists, we have the Kapisanan ng mga Broadcasters Philippines, mayroong code of ethics na fina-follow, and we would like to believe that nagtatrabaho tayo among professionals. So maybe it's time na raise natin ang level din ng content creation. Diba? Maaari nga dito sa batas na to, maaari nating require din ng physical presence ng mga different social media platforms. Kasi ang hirap-hirap nilang habulin. Kahit na sumisigaw na yung content na fake siya, deadma pa rin yung itong mga social media platforms. Tapos they don't even have a physical office here in our country. Ang hirap nun. Tapos nga, also there's this issue, ang laki-laking perang kinikita nila, no? Baka naman, I don't know, pasok Kong Joey Salceda dun sa ways and means. I don't know, it's just a possibility. But first and foremost, the main consideration of such a measure would be to regulate the sector and let it be as much as possible self-regulation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bibian. Kat Porbes from Radyo Pilipinas. Okay, Sandro Ochoa from Billionario TV.
Ayan. Pero ano kung Geraldine, hindi po ba magi-infringe on censorship if we will control yung social media registration?
You know, also, dun sa SIM registration, we are also talking about the right to privacy, and yet we approved it. And nobody has questioned the constitutionality of this law. Similarly, yung registration ng ating content creators could be likened. Marihahambing natin to sa registration din ng ating mga journalists, di ba? Kayo mga periodista, mga media practitioners. Eh, yun nga ang problema. Kung makaasta itong mga ibang content creators, kala mo na sila na yung mga full-fledged journalists. When in fact, naging purveyor sila ng fake news. So dapat magkaroon talaga ng rehistro, registry. And I don't think it will infringe on the right to freedom of expression, especially if the sector itself comes up with its own code of conduct and ethics and its own regulations on how to police its ranks and discipline its members. This is already practiced in the world of journalism. I do not understand why we cannot apply this example to the world of content creation.
So parang accreditation lang po siya. Okay.
Correct.
Tapos balikan ko lang po yung on Isabela bridge collapse. Kasi po si Kong France meron ng calls to investigate. Do you think we should investigate pa dito sa House?
Unahin na yung yung local nila, lalo yung region saka yung district engineer nila kasi para meron na agad action. Well, she can call for an investigation, pwede naman po. Pero kung ako lang, i-address na agad locally para, kasi kailangan solusyonan agad yun as much as possible.
Yes, I agree with Kong Paulo, and that's the only way. As I said, the DPWH has its own protocols in the in case of these this kind of incidents, you know. Yun na nga lang, sana nga, yeah, I'm confident that it will be an independent investigation.
Balikan ko rin yung sa SIM registration, sa social media registration. Ginagawa nga po natin yan pag during the elections, ginagawa nga po ng mga tumatakbo po. So, I think wala naman po masyadong issues doon kasi we were openly doing that for how many years na? How many elections na? Pero yun nga, pag-uusapan naman po lahat yan. Hindi naman po tayo careless sa pagbabalangkas ng batas na yun. Like what we did with the SIM Registration Act.
Thank you, Sandro. Kat Porbes from Radyo Pilipinas.
Sorry po. Ayan. Hingan ko lang po kayo na reaksyon kasi po during po the press briefing kanina, si Yusek Claire Castro, kanya pong sinabi na sila po ay sumusuporta doon po sa pagkakaroon ng regulatory body para sa social media at kanya rin pong sinabi, binanggit po na napapanahon nga daw po yung ginagawang investigation ng TRICOM dahil po sa dumarami nga po yung mga troll army na nagpapakalat po ng mga maling balita at paninira. So given po na ito po ay galing na po sa Malacanang, paano po kaya natin mapapabilis pa po yung pagkakaroon nga po ng legislation sa TRICOM?
Well, ngayon, ang ginagawa namin sa TRICOM, naglilikom kami ng mga ideas, ano? And we want to listen to as many voices as possible from the stakeholders themselves. This is the only way we can come up with a legislative measure that will respect, number one, our constitutional right to freedom of expression, and number two, promote self-regulation and come up with rules, no? Regulations and code of ethics and standards by which to hold accountable those who will not respect this code of conduct. I like her, really. Diba? Hindi naman sa biased ako dahil babae siya. I like her because she comes from the sector herself and she knows what she's talking about. Bukod pa sa fact na very franca siya, madaling mag-connect siya. She was actually a resource person in the TRICOM. Nagulat nga ako, wow. But not in that sense na nagulat. In fact, she was the logical choice to be the presidential spokesperson. Kudos to her. And we take into account and bear in mind her suggestion. And we all agree that has to be a regulatory body. And sana nga, itong regulatory body will come from the stakeholder, will be formed amongst the stakeholders themselves.
Pwede ba kami mag-collab? Sorry, yun ang unang tanong ko. Pero again, yung execution po kasi nasa executive, kaya sila actually yung pinaka-main na tinatamaan ng mga fake news, ng mga fake na issues, dinidistort yung mga sagot nila, yung narrative nila, dinidistort. So talagang sinisira talaga tong bansa natin ng fake news na yan na ginagamit ang social media. So I guess she's coming from a place na gusto niya dapat credible and official po lahat ng information. So maganda po nga sabi ko nga, kailan po kaya kami magko-collab para ma-meet namin din po siya. Kasi parang we speak the same language, ika nga.
Hello po.
Thank you, Kat. Ines Capanti from GMA Online.
Pahaba lang, sir. Yung sa impeachment, kasi the Senate President released a timeline. Meron siyang timeline na magsa-start ng June, yung last 2 weeks, carry over sa 20th. How feasible is that timeline sa point of view po ninyo? Di ba every Congress, nagpapalit naman ng leadership. Mag-elect ka ulit ng Senate President, ganun din dito sa House, mag-elect ka ulit ng Speaker. Given that may leadership change, pag tumawid na sa kabilang Congress, feasible ba yon? Kaya dapat ngayon na umpisahan?
Yun nga, babalik ulit ako, yung leadership call na statement. Ang problema kasi, kahit na madaming opinion na lumalabas, call po nila talaga paano mo po i-challenge kung tingin nila feasible yung timeline na yun? Ano po sasabihin mo sa kanila? So, again, babalik po rin ako dun sa statement ko na it's a leadership call. Diskarte po talaga nila yun. Whether it's feasible o may mga dissenting opinions, other legal opinions about it, it's up to them. It's up to them. The timeline can be anything. Like, pwedeng mabilis, pwedeng maikli. Pero yun nga, pag hindi po na-pull ang trigger, it's all up in the air hanggang ngayon.
I've listened to member prosecution, and they're quite confident that this is not an ordinary piece of legislation. It's not like a legislative measure na merong expiration date. gumawa pa nga ng paghahambing na ito ay kaso. Di ba, kahit magpalit ng huwes, ang kaso ay patuloy pa rin. But then again, hindi natin malalaman, masasabi, kung ang leadership call nga ng Senado ay magiging feasible, only time can tell. But confident naman yata ang prosecution team sa House na about the nature of this type of processes, no? So, I guess, kung confident sila, meron silang matibay na basehan din.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Lenesca. Last question from Haji Camino of Brigada News.
Good afternoon po. Follow-up lang po ulit dun sa nag-collapse na bridge sa Isabela. Although this is in general, kasi may call po kasi ang Makabayan na dapat daw itigilan na daw po yung system ng kickbacks. Kasi ang sinasabi daw po ay sa project, any government project daw po, 30% daw po kasi yung automatic na napupunta sa kickbacks or kumbaga napupunta po sa bulsa ng mga politiko. 70% lang daw po yung napupunta sa mismong project, kaya daw po nagkakaroon ng substandard na materyales. Your thoughts on this lang po?
Well, that is corruption. Hindi po natin tinotolerate yung mga ganyan na gawain. Kaya sabi ko nga po, dapat agaran nilang imbestigahan yung pagka-collapse ng bridge locally. With regards to your question ng kickback, hindi po pwedeng maging kultura yan. Dapat po wala po talagang ganyan na tinotolerate.
Ako, the facts or the results of that investigation will speak for themselves. Until we reach that point, any kind of accusation is just words coming out from our mouths. So, the best talaga is magkaroon ng investigasyon, matapos na yan, nang magkaalaman na. Yun lang naman eh.
Last question ko na lang po. Balikan ko lang po yun sa mga hindi pro-Filipino na mga candidates po. Do you think nakaka-apekto din po dito sa issue ng espionage and yung pangaangkin po dun sa Palawan? Kumbaga dahil lumalakas yung loob ng mga Chinese dun sa mga claims po nila, yung leaders na nakikipag-engage pa rin po sa Chinese leaders. Leaders po natin na nakikipag-engage po sa Chinese leaders. Kumbaga parang nakakadagdag doon sa impact, kaya lumalakas po yung loob nila na mag-claim ng mga islands or ng mga territories po natin.
You know what? Bago tayo ako sa pagiging anti-China, we are not anti-China. We are against the activities that infringe on our sovereignty and that endanger our territorial integrity. Of course, necessarily, we have to engage with them sa trade relations, diplomatic relations. There are also many Filipinos in China. But ibang usapin na itong pagdating sa ating teritoryo, sa ating sovereignty, sa ating national security. Kung meron silang ambisyon na ariin ang Pilipinas, kalimutan ninyo ito. Forget about it. Even this absurd app that presents Palawan as part of the territory, Delulu. Delulu is the Sululu. I mean, it's a product of a crazy imagination. Kalimutan na nila yan. Ngayon, kaya nga, importante na maging mapanuri ang lahat ng mga botanteng Pilipino. Mawala ng lahat, wag lang ang pakiramdam. Suriin natin ang ating mga kandidato, especially yung mga nasa Senado. Let's feel, let's try to read between the lines. Kanino ba talaga ang kanilang loyalty? Sa ating bansa ba? Sa welfare pa ng Filipino people versus vested interests? Sa mga marginalized groups ba? Kasi in my understanding, we should be giving more laws to those who have less in life. And I want that spirit to be reflected sa Kongresong papasok. And I mean Kongreso and the Senado na papasok sa 20th Congress. That's the only way our country can progress and that we can consolidate our democracy. And I'm happy at least kay President Bongbong Marcos. At least nakikita ko, and this is recognized by the international community. There is a respect for the rule of law. He is an institutionalist. He respects the independence of each branch of the government. Kaya nga hindi siya nakikialam kahit dito sa impeachment case. He respects the processes that we have to carry out, our constitutional mandates, and sana laging ganito sa ating bansa, lalo na sa Kongreso at sa Senado.
Ako yung statement ko doon, ang tagal na, sabi ko nga, wag susuportahan yung mga mouthpiece ng hindi pro-Pilipinas. So, last year pa yata na sinasabi ko na yun na okay lang yung local politics okay lang na may politika, may konting hindi pagkakaintindihan. Pero pag ang kinakampihan mo na hindi pro-Pinoy at hindi Pinoy, may problema na talaga doon. Malaking problema na. So, kaya namin patuloy na sinusuportahan po yung mga kandidato na pro-Pilipinas po talaga.
Thank you, Haji. As we wrap up, we'd like to hear some final remarks from our honorable guests.
So, Happy Women's Month sa ating lahat. Maasa pa rin po ang inyong lingkod na sa 6 na huling araw ng Kongreso ay kahit papaano maisalang na, lalo-lalo na yung fundamental equality under the family code. Itong matagal ng kahilingan ng maraming kababaihan. We have to correct this situation of injustice na laging may lasi ang mga husband. Also, the other bills that we have from the Committee on Women and Gender Equality. We are a progressive House of Representatives, but being progressive is not just words. It's about action and producing results. By our actions and by the fruits, we shall judge the tree. Happy Women's Month, everyone, and thank you for your presence today.
Happy Women's Month, no? Maraming salamat po sa patuloy na pakikinig saka pagre-react ng ating mga listeners. Nakita naman po natin na mulat po yung tao sa mga issues ng nagiging problema natin sa mga hindi po pro-Pilipinas. Nagkakaroon na po tayo ng mga not just local problems, pati division sa politika nagsimula dyan. So, patuloy po nating suportahan ng Pilipino at syempre, dapat pro-Pilipinas po tayo. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. House Committee on Women and Gender Equality Chairperson and Bataan 1st District Representative Geraldine B. Roman and House Deputy Majority Leader and La Union 1st District Representative Paolo P. Ortega de Pip for joining us today. To everyone, maraming salamat po uli sa inyo. Magandang tanghali at happy Women's Day. Women's Month.